What's up, guys? Tanner 5.9 output here. This is the video you guys have been waiting for. So I finally got the truck in for injectors and a tranny build, and most of you guys are probably wondering what it actually cost. I see everybody online saying, oh, Suncoast Trans, 50 horsepower injectors, this and that. You're looking at $12,000, $15,000. No. If you guys are running a basically stock truck, intake, straight pipe exhaust, whatever, maybe a mild tuner, but you're not doing hashtag race truck, you guys will probably want to follow more along this line, okay? I spent just a couple cents over 8,400 for this job. And without further ado, we're just going to get right into it. See what was done, what happened, everything. So I'm going to go down the line. We had the transmission rebuilt, and it was an old truck, or not an old truck. It was a used tranny. It was a used tranny. The tranny had, it was a factory 48 RE, so we did everything we could with it. And you guys know, I took it in about a year and a half ago to have a shift kit put in, and that was about $1,200. I think the shift kit was like 700 something, and then like another 400 or 500 for like labor and just whatever they did. But we went through a couple things. They went through on mine. I needed a new transmission mount, which was explaining a lot of the little wobbly stuff we had going on. They did replace my pressure line and the oil cooler return line for the transmission. They said the lines, at least at the radiator, were about disintegrated, and they didn't think I'd make it probably a couple hundred miles down the road. Obviously, something you need to do. That was about $500 total between the two of them. We've got the full build was about $2,000, almost $2,100. A billet lid, a billet piston converter, seals, gaskets, a GBZ, clutch packs, bearings, thrust washers, VB electronics, upgraded servo and accumulator, and overdrive piston retainer, etc. Most of those parts, part of your full tranny rebuild, if you have a shop that you like to go to, you enjoy, you like the guy, you trust the guy, that's the main thing, you trust the guy, he actually tells you the shit that's going wrong with your truck and all that, and they're not just saying, well, you need this, and you ask them why, and they don't know why. No, the guy I go to, he's been doing this about 15 years, he's one of those guys, it's not a race truck thing. It's a shop that's for reliability. They're going to replace it with good parts and make it reliable for the next 400,000 miles until you actually need to overhaul, because 400,000 miles for anything is quite a bit. And if you get quality, life out of it, then, 400,000 miles is nothing. They did a hot flush machine cooler cleaning. That was $150. Obviously, they threw fluid in. So, what this trans ended up costing me, about just the trans alone with the build, was about $4,500 for a full rebuild, and that was with a torque converter. It wasn't the basic torque converter, but it wasn't a triple disc. I went with the middle of the road. I forgot exactly what he had said, but it wasn't a triple disc, but it was like a beefed up, stage 1 type torque converter. Definitely not a stage 3, triple disc. Definitely not a triple disc, but he said, if you're gonna do 800 plus horsepower, let's do a triple disc. And I said, no, I don't plan on going that route anytime soon. I said, if I do, I'll definitely bring it back and we'll swap some parts out. But I said, no, we're not doing that. So they put in everything billet they could, full new clutch packs, all that shit. Like I said, that was about 4,500. Mind you, if you guys are going into this brand new, I did have a shift kit put in about a year and a half ago. That with labor was about 1,100, as well as the deep pan I had put on there to have more ATF in there, but I think it's about a gallon and a quarter more fluid. Just have more fluid to keep it cooler, do all that, because I do plan on towing eventually. I'm not going to tow anything crazy, but did that to prolong the life before I actually sent it in and had it done, because they had the truck for a month and a half. I had dropped it off around November 8th, and I didn't get it back until like 2 days before Christmas. This past year here, it's 24 now. This is, just a couple weeks ago in 23. So, I mean, they had it for a good month and a half. Honestly, it didn't take them that long to build it. It was more they were waiting on parts. They were waiting on stuff. Not a big deal, but you guys know how it is now. Everybody's waiting on parts. Everybody's waiting on everything. So if you do go into this blind, kind of like that, and you haven't had anything done, do have a shift kit put in, do have a deep pan put in, even if you're just driving this, daily and you might tow something once in a blue moon, it's good to have, just because the 48 RE is honestly, it's a decent trans if you have it built right, but the more fluid you have to keep it cooler, the better. So it's worth, with all that, it's worth probably the extra like 1,400. I know it was those Gorend parts, Goerend. If you're looking for that brand is actually, it's one of those like high-end brands, but for stock stuff. They're not doing anything crazy like Power Driven, same city, Cedar City up there in Utah, up here. They're great. They do great stuff over there. They're more race truck status. Smith's, which is where I go to, they're more for the reliability of a semi-stockish truck, not doing anything crazy. They have a lot of great stuff over at Power Driven, they do, but Smith's is where I go, just because I'm not trying to race the truck. I mean, yeah, you throw a tuner on, yeah, you can definitely do some stuff, but we're not race trucking it. So like I said, with that pan, with that shift kit, with everything, billet and all that, you might be looking about 5,500, something like that. Depending on what you need replaced, you might have a good trans. They might just have to replace clutch packs. They might have to replace anything crazy. But that is for a actually built stock style, but built quality 48 RE transmission. Next, I had the fuel injectors done. So the fuel injectors were about $384 a piece. We're looking about just over $2,300 for that total. And if you have miles on your truck, obviously anything over like 100,000, if you're doing the injectors, you might as well have the fuel tubes done. That is the tube that connects to the fuel rail line from the outside of your block that goes inside the head into the fuel tube, or into the injector. It's about, say, that long. They're like, I think it says $43 a piece. It was like $260 for all 6 of them. Said, might as well replace those while you're in there. The seals tend to go bad, and it's just better to get them done. The main reason I had injectors done by these guys was because the parts alone are already costing $2,400. Okay? For $600-ish more dollars on what I figured out with labor and parts on this job, it cost me just over $3,000 to have injectors done. In my view, it was worth it to spend an extra $600 to have injectors put in correctly by a diesel tech, by people who do this for a living, as well as having a clean shop and no dust particles, no nothing. You guys know where I'm at. I have a shop, but I don't have a shop I can pull my truck into and completely seal off the dust. I did not want to get dust into one of those injectors, have one little particle of dust, and it just screws the injector up. Didn't want to have that problem. So then we got, gaskets, a couple other gaskets, nothing crazy, mild stuff. One thing they did say about the injectors was that my injectors technically weren't bad. If any of you have bought a truck that you believe has either had the injectors done or you don't think he has had the injectors done, but it's one of those where you start it up, especially in the cold, and it seems like it's misfiring just a little bit, or it's short on fuel, or maybe it's overfueling. Either way, it can do the same thing. And then once it gets warm, it runs fine all day, no problem. It could be this issue that my guy told me. He said, I do believe these injectors have been replaced, but he said, I believe they were replaced with a subpar quality injector. And what that means is some of these I guess there's not very many injector manufacturers that make these injectors for these trucks. So he said, I can tell from the way it's acting is that these injectors were replaced with a decent quality injector, I guess. But when it's cold, it takes a little bit of warmth for these injectors to actually properly work. And what that means is that they were either like holding back fuel, or they were just spitting a little bit too much fuel and causing my truck to run a little funny. Honestly, any of you know who start up and you get a misfiring on diesel, you get that pop, 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 pop. You get that. That is what we were having. And I had already budgeted to have the injectors done. So I basically told him, I said, you know what? We're already there. I said, let's do the injectors. I said, you guys are replacing them with the best quality Bosch, whatever injectors. Let's just do that. Let's get that handled. And, because I said, I didn't want to have that problem, because the way it was starting up for the longest time, I hesitated to start it up. I hesitated to start it up because I was afraid the way it was going, I was afraid it was either putting too much fuel or not enough fuel, and either washing the cylinder or just running it too hot without enough fuel, and that I was going to just melt a piston. I didn't want to have that worry. I didn't want to have that whole pop, 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 pop starting. Since I've had these new ones in and everything, it's been fine. The truck started fine, everything, none of that. So you guys may actually have decent injectors. It may just be it needs some warmth to have them actuate correctly, which in my opinion, that's not a good injector. I feel like that is still a big enough issue where you should have them replaced. If you guys don't have the funds to do that, but you find out from your diesel shop that that may be your case with those different style injectors, or some subpar quality injectors that came across the line at some point or another, do have that looked at. If that is the case and you don't have the money, and they tell you that is the injector, or that's what's going on with the injector, you can probably run them. I asked him, I said, well, what's the pros and cons? And he said, well, I've had guys that have just said, screw it, we'll save the money, we'll do this, we'll do that. And they've been fine. They've got another 100, 200,000 miles before they've actually needed to replace the injector. Other people have said, yeah, you know what, replace them. And I said, you know what, let's replace them. I don't want to melt a piston. I said, it's a quality engine. The guy ran through my motor. He said, he's like, you got no blow by, you got nothing in the oil, you got, it's a good engine. I said, you know what, let's keep it that way. Let's do the injectors. Like I said, I already budgeted for it. We'll be good. As far as that all goes, like I said, the total price of this was $8,476. So that's injectors and trans. Like I said, if you have to add a shift kit and a pan, might be a little more, but you're looking at less than 10 grand. And that's more than just a transmission. A lot of people talk about transmission, Suncoast, all this. Suncoast is cool, great stuff, but you're paying a lot for something that if you're not racing your truck every freaking day, you don't need. We'll go on the labor description side. The whole APPS pedal code thing, which I had done a previous video on. He said, road test and inspect truck. Issue with wiring is hot boost air is blowing right onto main engine chassis connector. Now, mind you, this was not happening when I had made earlier videos to this year or two ago. Has loosened up the zip ties holding it together, replaced missing plug and intake elbow, and retighten connector to resolve. He did that, like I said in a previous video. We've been going strong about 3 weeks, and I know for a fact I would have gotten this code by now. We've been fine. Everything's been good. Please refer to one of my previous videos, and you will see exactly what I'm talking about on that. Transmission. Remove and replace transmission assembly. Replace transmission, cooler lines, road test. Right there. That's what he did. Bench labor, transmission build, valve body cleaning, refurbishment. Okay. Fuel injectors. Replace remove and replace fuel injectors and fuel tubes, full set of 6. Replace aftermarket valve cover gasket, electric connection, nuts, falling off, seals, seepage oil, road test. So they fixed up a couple things they saw in there, If you guys are in southern Utah area, do go to Smith's Diesel Performance up in Cedar City, Utah. They are the best around. If you're not doing hashtag race diesel, like I said, go to them. They're going to fix you up. They're going to tell you everything the best for what you need. If you are a racer, if you are a race diesel guy and you need something crazy done, you need whatever, even then go to Smith's. And if they can't do it, go to Power Driven. Power Driven is more on the race side, but like I said, Smith's is on the reliability, endurance, like, I tow, I work, I do this, the blue collar guy side. Do that. Go check them out, and they're not the cheapest. I'm not gonna lie, they're not the cheapest, but I'd rather take my truck to them 99% of the time than the dealer, because at least these guys are diesel experts. The dealer is just a Dodge expert, so you never know what you're going to get there. We know how that all goes. I'll let you guys kind of fill in the blanks on that. But as far as that all goes, I really hope this does help somebody out. Like I said, this is a video to really explain to somebody how much injectors and a tranny rebuild will cost. If somebody tells you a tranny rebuild but just buy a new transmission and they're quoting you $8-9 grand, no. Go bring your vehicle with your parts down there. Bring it down to the shop. Bring it down to whoever you got going on. Bring it down to somebody quality like Smith's and have them look at it. You're not going to spend $8 grand on a transmission alone. Like I said, I spent a little over $4, and obviously with tax and did the injectors and all that, I was out there about $8,400. That is what you're looking to spend. If you get a quote that's way out in left field, $7 grand just do this, no. If you do get that and that's the only shop you trust or you think you can trust around town, get a printout. Get a printout of what the parts are, what they're doing to it, what the what the things are. Get that printout, And if they don't want to give you that printout, then obviously they don't want to show you what they're doing, or they can't prove that it costs that much. So go ahead, get that. Like I said, I'll hold this here for a second. If anybody wants to pause and, look at what we got, you guys can zoom in. I mean, it's a legitimate receipt. I can get a more detailed one if you guys would like that. But, and like I said, it's, under warranty, you had somebody do it. I would consider doing a manual transmission rebuild myself because there's a little bit less stuff to do, and it's mostly gears. There's no crazy clutches and all that, as well as injectors. If I had a sealed shop, I'd consider doing it, but I don't. I don't have a positive air system. I don't have any of that crazy stuff. And like I said, for an extra $600, I know for a fact they were installed right, and there's a warranty on them. So if any of you guys are looking for any of that stuff done on your 3rd gen Cummins, especially like mine, an 07, check that out. Find a dealer by you, or if you're within 100, 200 miles of Cedar City, Utah. Bring these guys your truck. Call them. They're on Google. Call them. They are out a little bit, but they are quality work, and that's why I said you need to find a quality diesel shop, and they will, they'll blow your mind as long as you trust them. One of those things is if the shop you go to is out, with appointments out a month, 2 months from when you call them, they're decent because they're busy. They're busy. Every person wants to go there. So I hope that helps somebody out. Please let me know in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe, whatever you guys want to do. Please let me know if any of that helps you. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, please let me know. I will be happy to answer any of them. If anything I said was unclear or whatever, I will get back to you. Or if it's enough of a thing, I'll make another video on it. Please let me know. And remember, please like and subscribe. I'm Blue Collar. It's tough out here. Just trying to make a couple bucks on YouTube. So I hope what I said can really help you guys. Thank you again. We'll see you next time.